Hello loves, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be answering a question that I've gotten asked in my emails quite a bit, so I am going to be answering that today. As you can see from the title, you can tell what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get started, y'all, do not forget that we are going to Egypt in January. I'm so excited. We're doing a spiritual retreat in Egypt. We're going to be doing a workshop, a full moon and Leo ceremony. We're going to be riding through the Nile overnight in the Nile on the boats. Okay, we're going to be sailing. It's going to be amazing. We're going to be on the train. We're going to the pyramids. We're going to the temples. We're going to so many different places. It's going to be really iconic. Meals are included, all of the things. There's still 2 spots left for the early bird special, so if you want to get the discount, definitely make sure that you reserve your spot so you don't miss out, because it's going to be a really transformative trip. It's going to be a very empowering trip, and it's just going to be iconic. Like this is going to be an iconic time. So definitely make sure that you reserve your spot. The link to more information, if you want to see the breakdown, will be down below. So now we're going to jump into the video because we have quite a lot to talk about. So this video is going to be about initiation versus being a devotee or being devoted, okay, to spirit, certain spirits, deities, gods, goddesses, nature spirits, whomever it is that you are looking to build some sort of connection with, okay? So that's what we're going to be talking about today, because I get these questions a lot when it comes to, especially as someone who is from the Caribbean. We have a lot of different types of initiatory practices within the Caribbean, but we also have devotional practices within the same religions within the Caribbean as well. So it can get a little bit tricky to understand some of these things and to understand why certain things are important and why certain things are, you know, I don't want to use the word required or mandatory, but there's some aspects where if you're trying to work within a certain religion or a certain ATR, for example, there's some that do require a deeper initiatory commitment versus just being devoted. So yeah, those two are different things. Okay, so let's just talk about what initiation is in a very broad term, because obviously the process of initiation, the way it's done is different between different practices. But when you are initiated into a practice, I know for some who do energy healing, like if you do Reiki or you do like 13 octave Lahu Chi, or if you do well, even with angel light healing, you do have to get attuned with the angels for that. So there's different energy healing that kind of requires you to be attuned, so your hands and the energy can flow, you know, through you for your sessions, and you get attuned with different like symbols. An attunement is an initiation, but it is completely different than, you know, all of the other initiations out there. There's a lot of different types of initiations. An initiation is generally you taking the step to be a part of that practice through ceremony, and that ceremony then connects you in a way. I don't want to use the word, like the word that's coming up in my brain right now is binding, but it's not really, but technically, depending on it, which one we're talking about, kind of, sort of, but you are basically, depending on which practice you're looking for initiation, you are, if you're looking at it through the energy healing lens, you're getting attuned. If you're looking at it through a different lens, then you are building a stronger connection. There is a stronger fluidity. You can see it if you wanted to. You can see it as a binding, honestly. But it is a very complex process. Not all initiations are the same. Some have different influences on your soul, like on your soul. Some have different influences on how it impacts you, the intensity of how it impacts your soul, and the consent that you're giving to spirit in order to be initiated to working with that specific entity or with within that specific religion. Initiation, depending on which one, you know, you're looking at, a lot of the time you will see that it does require you to have a devotional practice, but your practice is deepened through the ceremonies that's done and through consistent work. Because when you are going through initiation, you are committing to working with, there's no like, oh, Uno reverse, I changed my mind, I don't want to be initiated anymore, I don't want to do this anymore. That doesn't exist. If you are initiated, there's really no taking it back, okay? There's no I changed my mind. You can't really take it back. That ceremony is really, really powerful. And depending from which culture you're working within the initiation, it impacts your soul in a really great way, because you are creating a space where you are sharing space with spirit within your own physical body as well. This is why when we talk about initiation, especially when it comes to ATR practices, when we hear about the crown and getting crowned and all of that stuff, that's because it impacts up here a lot. So that decision of deciding, hey, yeah, I want to get initiated, I'm getting a reading, I got the green light, I'm going through this process. It is a very powerful ceremony. It is a very, you know, it requires you to have and keep the commitment for the rest of your life, because there could be a lot of consequences of you committing and saying, hey, yeah, this is going to be a life-changing thing that I do, and I'm going to stick through it throughout my life, and then you change your mind, and then your life kind of goes to shit because you committed yourself to following something, including protocols. You get like a list of things that you need to be doing and all this stuff. If you don't do these things, you will see your life, you know, going to shit due to the fact that you committed, you initiated, you know, this commitment, and then you're like backtracking. It can be really very detrimental to your soul's journey in this lifetime. So you have to be very mindful with initiation, because it is very serious. It is a very serious ceremony. It's a very serious, you know, ritual. It requires a lot of different things, including in many different practices, it requires a sacrifice. Due to the fact that this is so serious, like throughout the process, it should be, you should be very aware of how serious this whole process is because of all of the steps. But ultimately, and I'm not saying this to like scare people or anything, because getting initiated is something that is very beautiful. It is a lot of these different initiatory practices are very ancestral. So they have a way of deepening your connection to certain spirits depending on which religion you're looking at. When it comes to being a devotee, having a devotional practice, that is completely different than getting initiated, okay? When it comes to having a devotional practice, and you can, just as an example, you know, when you get, what's it called? When you get it dunked in Christianity, what's that called? Totally forget. Oh, wait. It came to me and it left. It came to me and it left. For those who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. When you like have to baptize. Boom. Baptism. There you go. That in a way is an initiatory ceremony, by the way. However, not all initiatory ceremonies are soul transforming in a way. Like you can, like, Christianity is not a very solid rooted kind of religion. It is a different type of religion. So when it comes to being initiated into Christianity, even though people don't talk about it that way, but that ceremony is an initiation. When you are getting baptized, or even when you baptize like your kids and stuff like that. The thing about having like a baptism on a child that young is that they didn't really, like, the parent is the one giving a consent for that baptism to happen. But you can obviously, as you are older, you get older, you can completely change your mind and like leave the church. So there's like different levels. And when it comes to Christianity, because it's not well, as far as like being well founded spiritually, as far as working with spirit and the relationship with spirit, it's just not worked with the same way that other initiatory practices are when it comes to the seriousness of the connection itself. So I just wanted to make that distinction before we go into devotional practices. So when it comes to being a devotee, when you are devoting yourself to a spirit, when you are saying, hey, I love your energy, I want to honor you, I want to work with you, a devotional practice is really you, within your own appreciation and admiration, working with a spirit, a saint, an angel, insert whatever here, without the initiatory commitment. And a devotional practice, while it is a beautiful thing, it does not have the same commitment as, you being initiated into a practice. It does not have the same sacrifice as you being initiated into a practice. The communication and the depths of your connection with certain spirits and deities is not going to be the same as someone who is initiated. So you do have to keep that in mind. But a lot of the time in some practices, in some religions, in some, devotional religions, or working with certain spirits devotionally, it does not require initiation. With some spirits, it just requires, some angels and some, let's not say angels, because angels are really fluid. Some spirits, some saints are very more on the devotional side of things. Like, there are some spirits that just like to have this very fluid structure with the way they work with you. Like, take Santa Muerte for example. When you are working with Santa Muerte and you are devoting yourself to her, you are a Santa Muerte devotee, right? So it is different than you going through an initiation. If something were more technical within the initiation, it would be more on through her indigenous side, and that would be through that indigenous culture, which is completely different than just being devoted to her. And for using her as an example, being devoted to Santissima is like the highest tier that you can go outside of an indigenous devotion, connection, is the kind of the highest tier that you can go, unless you're actually running a culto, running like a church or something like that for Santissima, and you are kind of having multiple people having ceremony together and stuff like that. Then that deepens a little bit, but it's still a devotional practice. It's still something that almost works the same way as when we work with, the saints and certain spirits, certain angels and stuff like that. And so it's a little bit different. And even when it comes to nature spirits, a lot of it is devotional practice. It's not, you're not getting initiated to certain nature spirits. There's some nature spirits that you can't get initiated to. There's some that you can, depending on the culture, depending on the religion. But a lot of the time when it comes to nature spirits, it's more fluid. Like, if you go and you give an offering to a tree, or you're giving an offering to a certain water spirit or something, that's a devotional practice versus it being you're initiated into that thing. So there is a huge difference, but being a devotee is a beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just a difference between the depths of your soul commitment with that spirit, thing, entity, whoever it is completely different than when you are, a devotee and you're choosing to say, hey, I love you, I'm gonna give you flowers, I'm gonna keep you in my home, I'm gonna create a safe space for you, I'm gonna have an altar, I'm gonna pray to you, I'm going to, that's a devotional practice, and that's out of your own, out of your own wanting to be devoted and your own willpower. So there's a difference there. So I wanted to make that distinction, because I get this question, I get all of the time from people who want to know what the difference is and all this kind of stuff. So I thought I would make a video about it for you guys. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have questions down below. If you guys need me to make videos on certain things, certain topics, anything that you're like, Abby, I kind of want to understand this better or whatnot, leave it in the comments below, so that way I can make a video about it, we can talk about it, we can do a little deep dive. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for all of the love and support. Thank you guys for being here. Listen, Mercury Reggaeton has been crazy, but we still here. So stay tuned for all of the upcoming videos, because it's gonna be a lot. And yeah, I love you guys. I will see y'all in the next video.